The night was cold and silent on the lonely side of New Houston Colony. The twin moons hung low, bathing the red desert in pale light. Inside a small metal hut, Ethan Cole, a mechanic and ex-soldier, tried to fix a broken drone. He had lived alone for months ever since he left the Space Navy. He liked silence, no orders, no battles, no people. But that night, silence broke. At first, he thought it was the wind. A faint sound carried through the dry air, a cry soft and scared. He looked up, frowning. No one lived this far from town. The nearest neighbor was miles away. He stepped outside, the wind whipping sand against his face. The cry came again, high, trembling, and unmistakably not human. Ethan grabbed his flashlight and his old plasma pistol. He moved slowly toward the sound, boots crunching on the rocky ground. The desert stretched endlessly ahead, glowing faintly under moonlight. He called out, "Hello? Anyone out there?" Only the wind answered. Then he saw something. A small shadow crouched behind a rock. His light fell on it and his breath caught. It was a little girl, but not like any human child he had seen. Her skin shimmered faintly blue, her eyes wide and silver, glowing softly in the dark. Tiny ridges ran along her arms like smooth scales. She stared at him, trembling. "Hey, it's okay," Ethan said carefully, lowering his weapon. "I won't hurt you." The girl didn't move. Her voice came out small and shaky in a strange language. Ethan couldn't understand the words, but the fear in her eyes was clear. She looked lost, hurt, alone. He noticed the strange metal collar around her neck, broken and sparking faintly. Some kind of alien tech. "Who did this to you?" he whispered. She flinched at the sound of his voice. Then in the distance, Ethan saw lights in the sky. 3, maybe 4 ships moving slowly across the horizon. They weren't human ships. Their movement was too smooth, too silent. He felt a chill run down his spine. "Come on," he said, motioning to the girl. "You can't stay out here." She hesitated, then slowly reached out her hand, small, shaking, glowing faintly blue under his flashlight. Ethan took it gently. Her skin was cool to the touch, almost electric. He brought her back to his hut, wrapping her in a blanket. She watched everything, his tools, the lights, the heater, with wide, curious eyes. She didn't speak again, only clutched the edge of the blanket tightly as if afraid he might disappear. Ethan tried to scan the collar with his tablet, but the data made no sense. Alien language, alien tech. He sighed. "Who are you, kid?" She pointed at herself and said one word softly. "Leary." "Leary," Ethan repeated. "All right, Leary, you're safe here." But even as he said it, his heart beat faster. Those ships in the sky, they hadn't looked random. Someone, or something, was searching. That night, while Leary slept curled on the couch, Ethan couldn't rest. He sat by the window staring at the stars. His training told him to report it, to call the colony's defense outpost. But his gut said no. He'd seen what happened to non-human finds. The Galactic Council didn't take kindly to humans keeping alien children. They called it interference. Sometimes those who broke that rule disappeared. He glanced back at Leary. She looked peaceful now, her chest rising and falling softly. Maybe she was just a child lost in the wrong part of the galaxy. Maybe she needed someone, anyone, to protect her. Ethan made a decision. He would hide her, just for now, until he figured things out. Outside, the wind howled, and in the distance, faint red lights blinked across the desert sky, closer than before. The next morning came quiet, but Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The twin suns were rising over the red horizon, painting the sand in gold light. Inside the small metal hut, the air smelled of warm dust and burnt circuits. Ethan was repairing a drone engine, but his eyes kept drifting toward the couch where Leary slept. She was still there, curled under the old blanket, breathing softly. Her silver eyes blinked open as sunlight touched her face. For a second, she smiled, a small, shy smile that made Ethan's chest tighten. She looked like any scared kid who had been through too much. "Morning, kid," he said gently. "You hungry?" She tilted her head, not understanding. Ethan pointed at a food pack and mimed eating. Her eyes lit up and she nodded quickly. When she tasted it, her face twisted. Too salty, maybe too human, but she still ate. Watching her try, Ethan couldn't help but laugh softly, but deep down he was worried. That collar on her neck, it was alien tech, probably a tracker. Whoever she ran from might be tracing her already. He decided to check. He connected the collar to his repair console. The screen flashed red, encrypted code, unknown signal origin. Then something worse, an active ping. Someone was searching for this device. Damn it, he muttered, pulling the cable out. Leary flinched at his tone, eyes wide. He forced a smile. It's okay, kid. Not your fault. Outside, the wind picked up. The desert always roared like an angry sea, but this time there was a low hum in the air, mechanical, deep, and growing louder. Ethan rushed outside. Far above, 3 silver ships moved slowly across the clouds, almost invisible against the pale sky. They weren't human. The hulls were curved, glowing with faint blue lines moving silently. One of them tilted slightly, scanning the desert below. Ethan's stomach turned cold. They found her. He ran back inside. Leary, we have to go! She looked frightened but didn't argue. She grabbed her small, glowing stone, something she had been holding since last night, and followed him. Ethan loaded his truck, throwing in fuel cells and water. The engine roared to life. Dust exploded behind them as they sped away from the hut. Through the rear mirror, Ethan saw one of the alien ships descend, hovering over the area where his hut stood. A beam of blue light scanned the ground. Leary pressed her face to the window, whispering something in her language. A name, maybe. Her small hands trembled. Ethan looked at her and said, "Don't worry, I won't let them take you." He meant it. For 2 hours they drove through endless dunes. The heat shimmered around them. Leary leaned against him, exhausted, her strange eyes half closed. Ethan finally stopped near an old mining cave, a place long abandoned after the war. He led her inside and covered the entrance with scrap metal. It was dark and cool inside. Leary sat down, hugging her knees. Her faint blue skin glowed softly in the darkness. Ethan knelt beside her. "Leary, who are they? The ones looking for you?" She hesitated, searching for words. Her English was broken, but she tried. "Bad. Soldiers want. Take me back. Hurt me." Ethan's jaw tightened. Not gonna happen. Then she took out the small glowing stone again. "Home," she whispered, pointing at it. "This show. Home." The stone floated from her hand, projecting a faint hologram, a planet covered in bright forests and shining lakes. It looked peaceful, beautiful. Ethan stared in awe. "That's where you're from?" She nodded, tears filling her eyes. "Mama, there." For the first time, Ethan realized she wasn't just lost. She was running from something that had destroyed her home. Outside, thunder rumbled, but there were no clouds. Ethan looked out and froze. A drone was flying low, scanning the ground. Then another. Alien drones. He turned back to Leary. "We've got to move again." Before they could, a voice echoed from the cave's entrance. A calm, mechanical voice that spoke in perfect English. "Human, you are harboring a fugitive of the Galactic Order. Surrender her peacefully." Ethan aimed his plasma gun toward the light. "Over my dead body," he growled. The voice paused. Then came a chilling response. "That can be arranged." A blue beam fired, hitting the cave wall and throwing dust everywhere. Ethan pulled Leary behind cover as the wall shook. His heart pounded. He had no idea how long he could hold them off, but he knew one thing. He wasn't going to give up that little girl. As he aimed again, Leary's eyes began to glow brighter, the stone pulsing in her hand. She whispered something in her own tongue, and the air around them started to hum like the sound of power awakening. Ethan turned to her, eyes wide. "Leary, what are you doing?" The cave shook with every blast. Dust rained down from the ceiling as Ethan pulled Leary behind a pile of old mining crates. The alien drones outside fired again, their blue energy bolts slicing through the rock, the air filled with heat and smoke. Ethan's heart raced. His plasma pistol hummed weakly, low on charge. "We can't stay here, kid," he shouted over the noise. "They'll bury us alive." But Leary didn't answer. She was kneeling on the ground, clutching the glowing stone in her hands. Her small body trembled, and her silver eyes were bright, too bright. The air around her began to vibrate softly like the hum of a power generator waking up. "Leary?" Ethan said, confused and worried. Then the light exploded. It wasn't fire or electricity, it was something else. The cave filled with a soft blue wave that pushed the dust aside like wind. Ethan shielded his eyes. When he looked again, Leary was floating a few inches off the ground. Her skin glowed brighter now, her hair lifting as if underwater. Outside, the drone stopped firing. For a second, everything went silent. Then came the sound, a deep rising tone, and a shockwave burst from the cave entrance. It hit the drones like a hammer, crushing them mid-air. Metal fragments rained across the sand outside, glowing red from the heat. Ethan stared in disbelief. What did you just do? Leary slowly lowered herself to the ground. Her glow faded and she collapsed, weak and shaking. Ethan rushed to her side. Hey, stay with me. She opened her eyes slightly. Power. Mother's gift, she whispered. They want it. Ethan's chest tightened. Who, the soldiers? She nodded faintly. They'd take children. For a weapon, her voice broke. Tears rolled down her glowing cheeks. Ethan felt his anger rise. Whoever these aliens were, they were hunting children for power. And this little girl, this scared child, was one of their victims. He picked her up gently. Don't worry, kid. I'm not letting them take you, ever. Outside, smoke still rose from the wrecked drones. Ethan carried Leary back to the truck. He didn't know where to go, but staying wasn't an option. He turned the engine on and drove toward the canyon road that led into the old colonies. As the truck bounced over rocks, he noticed something on his radar, a signal following them. Another ship. Bigger this time. Leary stirred in the seat beside him. Her weak voice whispered, more coming. They always come. Not this time, Ethan muttered, pressing the accelerator. But the sky darkened. A massive shadow moved overhead. A cruiser twice the size of any human craft. It descended silently, blocking out the twin suns. Then through the static of his radio came a voice. Human male. You have something that belongs to us. Stop your vehicle and surrender the child. Ethan gritted his teeth. Not happening. He swerved off the road, driving into the canyon. The cruiser followed, scanning the ground with a wide beam of blue light. He had nowhere to hide. Then he saw it. An old tunnel entrance, half buried by sand. Maybe a forgotten mining route. He turned sharply and raced inside. The tunnel was dark, narrow, and filled with echoes. The ship couldn't follow, but Ethan knew it wouldn't give up. Inside the tunnel, he stopped the truck and took a deep breath. His hands were shaking. We can't keep running forever, he said quietly. There has to be a way to end this. Leary looked up, her eyes dim but determined. Need to go to Sky Tower, she said softly. Sky Tower? She nodded. Big human tower. Signal strong. Can send home. Ethan realized what she meant. The orbital communication tower in the center of the colony. It could send signals across light years. Maybe she could call for help from her people. That's risky, he said. They'll expect us to go there. She reached out, touching his hand. Please. For a moment he hesitated. Then he nodded. All right, Leary. We'll get you to the Sky Tower, but we'll need a plan. Before they could rest, a small sound echoed through the tunnel. Metal footsteps. Ethan turned, gun ready. A figure appeared in the shadows, tall, armored, and not human. The creature's eyes glowed faint orange, and its voice was low and rough. You should not have helped her, human. She is dangerous to all of us. Ethan aimed his gun. Then you haven't seen what dangerous really looks like. The alien tilted its head. You do not understand. Her kind destroyed worlds. If you protect her, you doom yourself. Leary's hand tightened around Ethan's arm. He lie, she whispered. They lie. Ethan's finger hovered over the trigger, torn between fear and anger. The alien raised a small device. It blinked red, sending out a pulse. They will be here soon. You cannot hide from them. The alien turned and vanished back into the dark. Ethan's mind raced. He didn't know who to trust, but one thing was certain. Leary wasn't safe, and neither was he. He looked down at her, then out into the dark tunnel. Sky Tower it is, he said firmly. Whatever it takes. Outside, thunder rolled again, not from the sky this time, but from engines. The hunt had begun. The desert stretched endlessly, glowing under the heat of the twin suns. Ethan's old truck groaned across the sand, its engines whining from the long escape. The horizon shimmered like a mirror, but there was nothing peaceful about it. Every few minutes, Ethan looked up at the sky, half expecting to see another alien cruiser drop out of the clouds. Beside him, Leary sat silently. Her silver eyes were distant, and the glowing stone in her hand pulsed faintly with blue light. She hadn't spoken much since the last attack. She looked exhausted, physically and emotionally. Ethan glanced at her. You hanging in there, kid? She nodded weakly. Just tired, he smiled softly. Yeah, me too. The truck rumbled over another dune. In the distance, a dark shape began to rise from the desert floor, the Sky Tower. It pierced the clouds like a needle of metal and glass, glinting in the sun. Even from miles away, it looked massive. That tower was the only structure on this side of the colony tall enough to send signals across systems. "That's our destination," Ethan said. "If we can get inside, maybe we can reach your people." But his mind was uneasy. The alien in the tunnel had said something. Her kind destroyed worlds. The words kept echoing. He didn't want to believe it, but part of him feared the truth. What if Leary wasn't just a lost child? What if her power could really destroy planets? He shook the thought away. She was just a kid, scared, alone. Whatever her secret was, she didn't deserve to be hunted. They stopped near an old outpost at sunset. The air had cooled and the sky turned orange and violet. Ethan checked the fuel levels, barely enough to reach the tower. He sighed. "We'll rest here tonight." The outpost was quiet, filled with rusted machines and broken walls. Ethan found an old generator and managed to power up a single light. Leary sat near the glow, watching moths circle the bulb. For a moment, she almost looked happy. Ethan handed her a water bottle. "You said your mother gave you that stone, right?" Leary nodded. "Yes," she said. "It has voice of our world. If danger come, it will call home." Ethan leaned closer. "So it's more than just a power source?" "Yes," she whispered. "But it need energy. I'm not strong enough yet," he frowned. "What happens when it activates?" She hesitated. "It opened path, a gate, between stars," Ethan froze. "You mean a portal?" She nodded. "To my world." Before he could respond, a sound came from outside, the crunch of boots on sand. Ethan instantly grabbed his pistol and turned off the light. He motioned for Leary to stay quiet. Through the cracked window, he saw shadows. 2 figures walking toward the outpost. Not drones, not soldiers. Humanoid. One of them spoke in a low voice. "The signal came from here. She's close." The voice was female, and strangely calm. Ethan held his breath as the 2 figures stepped into the light of the fading sunset. Their faces were visible now. 2 alien women, tall, with silver-blue skin and markings that shimmered under the sun. Their eyes glowed the same color as Leary's. Leary gasped softly. "Mother's kind." Ethan turned to her. "You know them?" She shook her head. "No, but same race. Not same people." The women moved closer, scanning the area with a glowing device. One spoke again, this time louder. "Human, we know you are here. We do not wish to harm you. We seek the child." Ethan aimed his weapon. "Yeah, I've heard that before." The first woman raised her hand slowly. "Please, we are not with the soldiers. We are refugees. The same ones her people tried to destroy." Ethan frowned, not lowering his gun. "Explain." The woman's voice softened. "Your girl carries the core of Valus, the last energy seed from our homeworld. Her power can either restore our dying planet or destroy it completely. That is why the Galactic Order hunts her. They want to use it as a weapon." Leary's eyes widened. "No, Mama said I must protect it." The second alien woman stepped forward. "Your mother was one of us. She sacrificed herself to send you away. If they capture you, they'll drain the core and every living thing it touches will burn." Ethan's chest tightened. He finally understood. The stone wasn't just a key, it was a weapon of creation and destruction. And somehow it was alive inside Leary. He lowered his pistol slightly. "If what you're saying is true, we need to get her to that tower fast." The first woman nodded. "We can help. But the Order's ships are closing in. We don't have much time." Suddenly, the ground trembled. A low rumble that grew louder every second. Ethan looked outside and saw it, a dark shadow moving across the desert sky. A fleet of alien ships, hundreds of them, descending fast. "Looks like time's up," he said grimly. The alien women exchanged glances. One turned to Leary. "Child, if you want to save both our worlds, you must awaken the core completely." Leary looked terrified. "If I do, it might hurt people." Ethan put a hand on her shoulder. "Hey, we'll figure it out. You're not alone anymore." Outside, the first ship fired a warning beam into the sand, an explosion of blue fire lighting up the night. Ethan took a deep breath, gripping the steering wheel again. "Everyone get in! We're going to that tower one way or another." The desert wind screamed as Ethan's truck sped across the sand, carrying 4 souls running from the end of the world. Behind them, the horizon burned blue, alien ships closing in. The ground shook with distant explosions. Ethan's hands gripped the steering wheel so tight his knuckles turned white. "How far?" he shouted over the engine's roar. The taller alien woman, Kayla, looked at the radar. 10 miles to the Sky Tower, but they'll reach us before that. The second woman, Sarah, turned to Leary. "You must be ready, child. If the soldiers block the path, we cannot hold them without you." Leary shook her head. "I don't want to hurt anyone." Her small voice trembled. Ethan looked at her through the mirror. "Listen, kid. Sometimes you don't fight to hurt, you fight to protect. You're stronger than you think." Leary's silver eyes met his. She nodded slowly. Above them, the sky split open with blue fire as a cruiser descended. Sand lifted in violent waves as the ship's energy beam cut across the desert, missing the truck by inches. Ethan swerved hard, barely keeping control. "They're not giving up." Kyla pressed her hand to the dashboard, her skin glowing. The engine suddenly roared louder, faster. Ethan blinked. "What did you do?" "I enhanced your human machine," she said calmly. "It will run faster, for now." The truck tore through the dunes like a missile. Ahead, the Sky Tower grew taller, its metal spire shining against the storm clouds. But between them and the tower stood a blockade. 3 enemy crafts and a group of ground soldiers in silver armor. "Brace yourselves," Ethan growled. He slammed the pedal. The truck burst through the first line of troops, scattering them like dust. Energy bolts lit up the air as Sarah fired back from the window with a strange plasma rifle that glowed green. Kayla raised her arm, forming a blue shield of energy that blocked the incoming shots. Ethan drove straight through the chaos, heart pounding. "Hold on!" The truck hit a rise and crashed through a gate, finally skidding to a stop inside the Sky Tower's courtyard. The massive structure loomed above them, humming with energy. They jumped out. The ground trembled again. The fleet had arrived. The sky filled with ships surrounding the tower from every direction. Sarah looked up. "They're sealing the perimeter." "We're out of time," Ethan turned to Leary. "How do we activate the signal?" She pointed to the central platform at the base of the tower. "The core must touch the tower's heart. Then it will open," Kayla frowned. "But if she releases that much power here, this place could be destroyed." Ethan looked at the burning ships in the sky. "If she doesn't, there won't be a here left to worry about." They ran to the platform. The tower's heart glowed faint red, locked by alien encryption. Leary stepped forward, holding the small blue stone tightly. Her hands shook. "I can feel it. Calling me." Before she could place it, a thunderous sound echoed. A huge armored figure landed in front of them. The commander of the Galactic Order. His armor was black and glowing with red lines. His voice was cold and deep. "The core belongs to the Order. Step aside, human." Ethan aimed his pistol. "Not happening." The commander smiled cruelly. "You think you can protect her? You don't even know what she is." Ethan narrowed his eyes. "I don't care what she is. I care what she's become, a kid who trusts me." The commander raised his hand and a surge of red energy knocked Ethan backward. He hit the ground hard, his vision blurring. Kayla and Sarah attacked, their weapons flashing in blue light, but the commander deflected every strike with terrifying ease. "Pathetic," he growled. He turned toward Leary. "You were created to destroy, not to feel. Hand it over." Leary stood frozen, tears in her eyes. "You lie." "I was made to protect." "Protect?" The commander laughed darkly. "You destroyed your own world when your power awakened. That's why your mother sent you away, to hide the weapon you became." The words cut deep. Leary's hands trembled. The core in her palm flickered violently. Ethan forced himself up, blood running down his face. "Don't listen to him, Leary." "You're not a weapon, you're a person. You choose what you are." The commander lunged forward, but before he could reach her, Leary screamed. The core burst open in a storm of blue light. A shockwave spread across the courtyard, lifting sand and metal like feathers. The commander was thrown backward, his armor sparking. Leary floated again, her eyes shining brighter than the sun's. "I remember now," she whispered. Mother said, "I am not the end. I am the beginning." Energy flowed from her hands into the Sky Tower. The structure came alive, lights racing upward as the signal built. The sky itself seemed to tremble as beams of light shot into the clouds. Kayla shielded her eyes. "She's opening the gate," Sarah shouted over the wind. "But it's too much. She can't control it." Ethan ran forward, fighting against the storm. "Leary, you can do this. Focus." Leary turned to him, tears glowing on her cheeks. "If I finish this, I can't come back." Ethan's heart cracked. You have to try. You deserve to go home, she smiled softly. Thank you, Ethan. Then the light consumed everything. The ground split, the air screamed, and a massive portal opened above the sky tower, a window to another world, green and alive. The commander reached for her one last time, but his body disintegrated in the energy. Ethan fell to his knees, blinded by the glow. When he looked up, Leary was gone. When Ethan opened his eyes, the world was quiet. The desert wind had stopped. The air was thick with dust and smoke. Around him, the remains of the sky tower glowed faintly. Broken metal, cracked glass, and rising sparks from destroyed alien ships scattered across the horizon. The once shining tower now stood half-collapsed, leaning like a wounded giant. Ethan lay on the ground, dazed. Every part of his body ached. His ears rang with the echo of the explosion that had torn the sky apart. Leary, he whispered, forcing himself up. His voice broke. Leary! Only silence answered him. The blue light that had filled the sky was gone. The portal, if that's what it was, had closed. All that remained was a faint shimmer, fading with each second. He stumbled forward, his boots crunching on broken metal. Around him, the two alien women, Kayla and Sarah, were slowly getting to their feet. Their armor was scorched, their faces pale, but they were alive. Ethan, Kayla said weakly. The energy surge, it destroyed the fleet. The Order's ships are gone. Ethan didn't care. He looked around frantically, scanning the rubble. Where is she? Where's Leary? Sarah's eyes softened. She opened the gate. She fulfilled her purpose. The Corps took her home. Ethan's chest tightened. You mean she's gone? Kayla shook her head slowly. We don't know. The gate connects worlds. She may have crossed safely, or she may have become part of it. He felt his heart sink. For the first time in years, Ethan, tough ex-soldier, loner, fighter, felt helpless. He dropped to his knees, staring at the empty spot where she had stood. She had saved them all, and vanished. For a long time, no one spoke. The wind returned, carrying soft whispers through the ruins. The suns began to rise again, painting the sand gold. It was beautiful but hollow. Finally, Kayla broke the silence. We must leave before the Order sends reinforcements. The humans will come soon, too. They'll ask questions we can't answer. Ethan didn't move. I'm not leaving. Not until I know what happened to her. Sarah looked at him sadly. You can't stay here. The energy field is unstable. He looked up, eyes fierce. You don't understand. That kid trusted me. She said I was her friend. I promised I'd protect her. I'm not walking away. Kayla exchanged a glance with Sarah, then sighed. There is one chance. Ethan turned sharply. What do you mean? The Corps' energy left traces in this place, Kayla explained. If we follow the resonance, we might find where the portal opened last. Maybe even reopen it, just long enough to see where she went. Ethan stood up, determination returning to his face. Then let's do it. They began to search the ruins. Kayla used a small device that glowed blue whenever it detected energy. The readings led them deeper into the broken structure, down a twisted corridor of metal and stone. The deeper they went, the more the air shimmered faintly blue, like the ghost of the power that had been unleashed. Finally, they reached a chamber still intact. At its center, floating just above the ground, was a crystal fragment, glowing the same color as Leary's eyes. It pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Ethan stepped closer. That's her, isn't it? Sarah nodded. A piece of the Corps, maybe. A part of her. He reached out, hesitated, then gently touched it. A shock ran through his arm, but not pain. It was warmth, comfort. Then he heard it, a voice, soft and distant, inside his head. Ethan, don't be sad, he froze. Leary? The voice continued, faint like wind through glass. I'm safe. I'm home now. The light opened. I saw my mother. She said thank you. Ethan's throat tightened. Leary, can you come back? I can help you. No, my body's gone, but I'll always be here. Inside the light. Inside you. The glow brightened for a moment, then slowly faded until only silence remained. Kayla placed a hand on his shoulder. She wanted you to know peace. Ethan closed his eyes. She deserved peace. Not this. They stood there for a long time, watching the last glow disappear. Then Ethan straightened. If the Order built weapons like her, there'll be more. We can't let this happen again. Kayla nodded solemnly. You're right. The Council will come. They'll try to control the Corps' remains. Sarah looked up at the damaged sky. Then maybe we need to protect it. Together, Ethan looked between them. You mean, form a team? Kayla's expression hardened. Call it what you want. But the galaxy is changing. The core's power woke something ancient. Others will come for it. Ethan stared at the horizon. The suns were higher now, and the wind carried the faint hum of the destroyed ships. He clenched his fist. Then we fight back. For her. A small smile touched Kayla's lips. You really are human, she said softly. Always fighting for what you can't keep. Ethan gave a tired grin. Maybe, but sometimes, that's what makes us human. The three of them walked out of the ruins together, the wind blowing behind them. Above, the broken sky shimmered faintly blue for just a moment, like a wave from a little girl far beyond the stars. Weeks passed. The deserts of New Houston Colony had begun to heal. The remains of the Sky Tower were buried under layers of sand, and silence ruled where fire once burned. But Ethan Cole was still there. He lived in a repaired hut near the wreckage, fixing what little tech had survived. The world called him a hero, the man who stopped an alien invasion, but Ethan didn't feel like one. Not after losing Leary. Every night he would sit outside staring at the sky where the twin moons hung low. Sometimes he thought he saw a faint blue shimmer among the stars. It made his chest ache with both pride and pain. Kayla and Sarah had stayed for a while. Together they helped the human colonists rebuild. But now they were leaving, heading to distant systems to find the remaining fragments of the core. The day they left, Kayla had said something Ethan couldn't forget. Her story isn't over. When light touches light again, she will return. He didn't know what it meant, but part of him hoped, really hoped, that she was right. One cold evening, as the wind howled across the dunes, Ethan heard a soft hum coming from inside his workshop. The air shimmered faintly blue. He frowned. Not again. When he stepped closer, he saw it, the crystal fragment he had kept on his work table. It was glowing brighter than before. Then a soft, familiar voice filled the air. Ethan! He froze. Leary? The light grew stronger, forming a small holographic figure, the outline of a little girl with glowing silver eyes. She smiled gently. Hi, Ethan's breath caught. Leary, is it really you? Not all of me, she said softly. Part of me stayed behind. The core made a copy, my memories, my thoughts. I wanted to say goodbye. Properly. Ethan's throat tightened. You don't need to say goodbye. You're alive somewhere out there. She shook her head sadly. Maybe, or maybe I became part of the stars. But even stars remember, Ethan. He sat down slowly, unable to stop the emotion in his voice. You saved all of us. You did what no army could. You taught me how, Leary said. You showed me that even humans with no power can still protect. My people, they live now. Because of you. He smiled through the ache. Because of us, kid. For a moment, the hologram flickered like static. The light dimmed. Ethan, something's coming. The order isn't gone. They're rebuilding, but bigger. They want the rest of the core fragments. He leaned forward. What do you mean? The core energy inside me woke something old. Something powerful. I can feel it moving between stars. If they find it, they'll use it to destroy again. Ethan's hands tightened into fists. Then we'll stop them. You'll need help, Leary said. Kayla and Sarah are searching for me. They'll find the next fragment soon. Go with them. Promise me. Ethan nodded. I promise, she smiled faintly. Good. Then maybe one day when the stars are quiet again, I'll find my way back to you. The hologram started to fade, her small voice becoming distant. Goodbye, Ethan, don't forget me. He swallowed hard. Never. The light vanished, leaving only the faint hum of the crystal. And silence. Hours later, Ethan stood outside his hut, looking up at the night sky. The stars were brighter than usual, the galaxy stretching like a silver river across the heavens. He took the crystal in his hand and whispered, I'll find you, kid, wherever you are. Suddenly, a blue streak flashed across the sky, a falling star glowing brighter than anything else. It left a trail that shimmered like silver dust. Ethan smiled. Yeah, he murmured, I see you. 3 days later, Ethan was packing his truck when the ground shook lightly. He looked up, frowning. Dust swirled outside his hut. Then, a knock on the door. He froze. Slowly, he opened it. Standing there were 2 alien women, their silver eyes glowing in the dim light. They looked almost identical to Kayla and Sarah, but younger, stronger, dressed in deep blue armor with insignias of light across their chests. The taller one spoke. "Ethan Cole?" He nodded cautiously. "Yeah, who are you?" The woman stepped forward. "We are from the Valus Guardian Order. Leary sent us." His heart skipped. "What did you just say?" The other woman smiled faintly. "She lives, Ethan. The Corps rebuilt her on the other side of the gate. She leads our people now, and she remembers you." Ethan's voice was barely a whisper. "She's alive?" The taller one nodded. "She sent us to find the human who kept his promise." Tears burned in his eyes. He laughed softly, half in disbelief. "You're telling me she's, what, a leader now?" "More than that," the alien said gently. "She is the new Lightkeeper, and she asks for your help once again." Ethan stepped outside, staring at the sky where another portal, small but stable, glowed faint blue on the horizon. He could feel it, her presence warm and familiar. He looked back at the two women, his heart racing. "When do we leave?" "Now," they said together. He grabbed his old pistol, his jacket, and the small crystal fragment. As he followed them toward the glowing horizon, the desert wind whispered like a voice he knew too well. Soft, kind, and full of hope. "Welcome back, Ethan," he smiled, eyes shining. "Missed you too, kid."